Hello, my name is Josie Burt. I'm a kindergarten teacher, a literacy leader, and I'm working on becoming an action researcher. Building foundational literacy skills is a crucial part of the kindergarten curriculum, and it makes up a large part of my daily instruction in the classroom. Often, building these foundational skills can be repetitive and not super engaging for all students, especially students who are struggling to keep up with whole group instruction and are not picking up on the foundational skills that are being taught and worked on. I wanted to investigate a way to engage students in foundational literacy skill activities that helps them to acquire the skills we are practicing while being engaged in more than one way. That is what led me to my action research question. The question that I am trying to answer through my action research is, how will incorporating multisensory activities when teaching foundational literacy skills impact student growth? Multisensory means that the activity that students are participating in will engage more than one of the five senses while doing it. This is sometimes called visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile learning. According to Sarden et al. 2019, multisensory learning begins as early as infancy. It is the natural way for people to learn and should be used past infancy to promote learning. When multisensory activities are paired with learning a new literacy skill, it allows children to be able to input the new information into their brain in multiple ways, which will help to recall more information easily. When movement is incorporated into learning, it helps with recalling information because your brain processes movement and learning in the same part. Activating multiple senses enhances memory. I was trained in the Orton-Gillingham approach to teaching phonics in 2020 and have been using it in my classroom and teaching since. The Orton-Gillingham approach is multisensory and was developed to help people with dyslexia. However, since more research has been done about how people best learn to read, it has been discovered that using a multisensory approach is also beneficial for struggling readers. The Orton-Gillingham approach follows explicit and systematic instruction. In my classroom, I use the BrainSpring Phonics First curriculum, which follows Orton-Gillingham in a highly structured, sequential, and multisensory lesson to move phonetic concepts from short-term to long-term memory. My plan to research the benefits of incorporating multisensory activities to help students struggling with foundational literacy skills will be done in 7 steps. The first step will be to administer a pre-test to determine what foundational skills students are beginning the school year with. I will use assessments from the curriculums that I'm already using in my classrooms. Integrity for phonemic awareness skills and BrainSpring for phonics skills. Step 2 will be to use the data collected from the pretest to determine groups of students to work with in small groups, based on the foundational skills that they need additional support with to master. Step 3 will be to consistently meet with small groups to work on the foundational skills identified in the pretest. In these small groups, I will use multisensory activities to practice the foundational skills needed. An important part of step 3 will be consistency and taking anecdotal notes. The anecdotal notes will include what I am seeing and hearing students doing while working with them. Step 4 is to progress monitor students who need the most support. As I am progress monitoring, I will be able to adjust instruction as needed to best support students and continue their growth in the foundational skills they are learning and practicing. Step 5 will be to continue using multisensory strategies and activities to build foundational skills through the end of the semester and continue to collect data for each student. Step 6 will be at the end of the semester. I will administer the post-test to track progress and see the growth that students have made. It is important to note that the pre and post-test will be done one-on-one so that I can accurately assess and hear what students are saying. The final step in my research process will be to compare the pre and post-test data. I will also look at the anecdotal notes that were taken throughout the semester to see if the growth students made matches the work that they were doing in their small groups. When looking at the data, I will see what growth has been achieved and will be able to determine next steps for my students. As mentioned earlier, my data sources will be a pre and post test so that I am able to compare the data from the beginning of the school year to the middle of the year. An additional data source will be taking anecdotal notes while working with students in small groups to track their progress. The anecdotal notes will include what students are doing and saying, basically what I'm observing them doing in the group. Progress monitoring will also be used throughout the semester to make sure that students are not falling behind or missing skills. I will also be able to use this information in real time to make instructional adjustments. Finally, I would like to include student input in my data to see how they are enjoying and responding to the multisensory activities. I will do this by providing short smiley face surveys throughout the semester at the end of sessions. I will begin with analyzing pre-test data. This will help me to identify what small group students will need to be in and will help me to begin planning and preparing multisensory activities to use for each skill. I will also analyze the anecdotal notes weekly or biweekly to help me decide if I need to make instructional adjustments to the skills we are practicing or if I need to try a different multisensory approach. I also plan to adjust small groups as needed using the data I am collecting. If a student masters one skill, then they may need to move to another group if the other students in their group are still working on mastering the original skill. Throughout this action research, I hope to learn more about multisensory activities and what activities work best for students who are struggling to master foundational literacy skills. I hope to see more student engagement in small group time and more excitement about the skills that are being taught and practiced because of the activities that we are doing. When completing this study, I also hope to learn what multisensory activities are preferred by my students. Do they like tactile activities, such as using sand or shaving cream, or even puppets? Do students like to do more kinesthetic activities, getting up and moving around the classroom and using their body to practice foundational skills? If I am consistently meeting with students in their small groups and following the plan that I have designed, I do believe that I will be able to answer my question of how incorporating multisensory activities when teaching foundational literacy skills will impact student growth positively. After collecting and analyzing the data for this semester, I would continue to cycle through the steps that I have planned out to continue to help students learn the foundational literacy skills needed to become a successful reader by using a multisensory approach. Thank you.